Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. The Dreamhack Masters Fall Europe Grand Finals. The most predictable and most anticipated matchup you might expect with all that said. But I think we have a little bit of time. For one, you to like and subscribe. And two, to introduce, in the top right, the Frenchman making Terran look like it has a chance. Even though technically they've had a chance, and let's not get into it yet. Of course, it's Clem. The kid, lovingly called by someone younger than himself Rainer, which has always been a little confusing, but a term of endearment. Still finding success. And in the bottom left, of course, the world champion. The most successful player, not just outside of Korea, but potentially, if he's able to take this tournament and more, passing the $1 million in just winnings mark. I'm not exactly sure the numbers, but he's approaching it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. He's made it this far. He gets an extra game because he did come from the winner's bracket, where, believe it or not, he managed to beat Rainer, as well as Hero Marine. Big Gabe fallen to allow him this slot. Clem actually dropped down to the loser's bracket earlier and battled his way back. But it is the finisher, Serral. Oh, I'm sorry. The most important micro of the game. The Reaper. Well, Clem, the only player that we couldn't just skip to this point for. Literally no one. Not even Beyond, who we... Oh, come on. Oh my... How does he do it? He didn't get it that time. He didn't get the creep tumor. Serral built 6 lings, which I think is just a sign of respect. Like, the usual number is 4. Some players have 6. I think against Clem, you always build 6 lings. 4 lings is not going to cut it. It's a small detail, but those details add up over time. Speaking of not so small details, 3 command centers. Now, not something I think is surprising. Not something... This will not be the last time we see this, but how long can Terrans keep getting away with it? Apparently indefinitely. As Clem is just, even before Starport, investing in the 3rd command center, and will be able to jumpstart his economy off the back of those mules and additional SCV production. For a time, like, Rogue is probably the best example of a player who will just try to slap him across the face. Just say, you can't get away with this. You're not allowed to just build 3 CCs and only Hellions. Serral is usually more content to sit back and let their opponent make mistakes. Problem is, this is Clem. And Clem... Now, if you could aimbot an SC2, it would probably be modeled around Clem's micro, and still struggle to match it. As the amount he's able to get done with any amount of units is a little disgusting, intimidating. Terran players from Diamond all the way through Diamond try to emulate, much to their dismay, finding it's easier said than done. Or easier theory crafted about, writing a whole diary of multiple pages, how much and how particular you get into that micro, and then immediately upon contact with the enemy failing it. We've all been there. Serral just boxing out the Hellions, which are looking to stall out the spread of creep tumors, but Serral managing it well enough. Plenty of queens. A Raven is the choice in game 1. The Raven, not common, for sure, but the Swiss Army knife of Terran. What doesn't it do? You've got option, well, you just got basic detection. You've got auto turrets to supplement any attack or harass. You've got interference matrix, which can technically be used on queens, not so common in this matchup. Oh, Brenda! Oh my god, creep! We don't speak of Karen. Alright, she got way too lit last night. It happens. At least they're not Hellbats. The Hellions are doing a particularly good job. The Raven definitely an added dimension to this. And not just because it's in the air, but the ability to continue to push back the creep and the queens. Oh, he's just going. Clem has so many. He's just kind of incremented out a dozen Hellions. The Zerglings looking for us around, but there's barely more Zerglings than Hellions. The queen's struggling back. And Clem, the knitting crew will be enough to discourage Clem from going any further. But he understands the value of the Hellions. Just the existence of the Hellions keeps Serral from being able to come across the map with a counterattack. It keeps Serral from creep spreading freely on cooldown. He has to think about when and where and why. And even if he could have dove in and killed 10, 15 drones, which is a little optimistic, Serral's already at 60 drones. Like, once you get past that 3-base marker, the amount of larvae you're getting, you can replace the drones very quickly. But the Hellions, on the other hand, are not going to be replaced. They're going to be supplemented by Widow Mines, which have a much greater chance of doing more damage for minimal cost, especially against the drones, but just generally across the field. A second factory on the way, as Clem is not just doubling down, but upgrading and continuing to supplement his mines. Target fire, a couple banelings, quick, slick pickup there, as we've come to expect. Combat shields is done. The Hellions have been repaired. 7 of them have survived. 1-1 is finishing up. Serral is finishing up his 1-1, but he's about 20-30 seconds behind. Baneling speed is completed. But this is the scenario we see a lot of Zergs get into, against Clem in particular, but Terrans in general. Is Serral right now doesn't really have any layer tech besides Bane speed. He's getting Burrow, but there's already a Raven on the field, so any illusions of Baneling mines are probably a few years out of date. The spread, I can't believe it's not butter. Terran through the Banelings easily. Widowmine connects, auto turret stacks up the Zerglings, and Serral just getting ground down. The Queen's forced to fall back. The Transfuse is barely keeping it together. Another round of Banes. Looking for more. Beautiful mine hit. Baneling's gone. Zergling's gone. Serral gone. Clem, game 1. Well, game 2, but ties up the series. Wow. Slice me off a piece of that, Terran, and I'll ask for second. That was about as clean as it gets. How many units did Clem even lose? Clem lost 3 Widow Mines, 5 Hellions, 3 Hellbats, he lost 3 Marines for 82 Zerglings. That's a pretty good KD ratio. Okay? Like, I gotta say. 3 Marines for 82. Now, I don't think the Marines did most of the heavy lifting there, but that's not how they'd tell the story. I think it's about time to go back to the spawning pool and maybe think about not letting Clem dictate the pace of the game, because good luck playing catch-up. Wow, that was, you don't really expect Serral to just roll over like that. That was concise. Okay. Jimmy, get the... Yeah, Clem. He made it look so easy. He took the most accomplished Zerg player in StarCraft 2 history and, like, put him in a timeout. It's like, oh, that's cute. Like, you think Lings and Banes? Alright. Silly Zerg. Winning is for Terran. So that's, wow. That is a lot of the time what you risk as a Zerg who just lets the Terran go. Now, it's not Wings of Liberty anymore. In Wings of Liberty, there was much more of an argument to be made about not letting the Zerg expand. Because Terran just couldn't grow as quick because of how the economies work without getting into... I'm not big on math, all right?
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
But in Legacy of the Void, Terran can compete straight up economically. Part of this is because Larva Inject only gives 3 larvae compared to 4 back in Wings of Liberty. A lot of you Zergs might not have even known that. Or Terrans. Part of it is just everyone starts out with 12 workers, so you have you can get all these expansions up quicker, get those mules running, get the production up behind it. And Lanes and Banes have never been a great late game option. It's just an overwhelming number, a cinematic trailer number, as we saw in Heart of the Swarm. But Serral was never able to get there because his queens are always at the front, dealing with the Hellions and the Reapers. And even the ones that are sitting back injecting aren't able to build up enough larvae to just run over the Terran army. Because Clem is putting out so many units that Serral had to continually trade until he just had nothing else left to barter. Like, that was... What do you do if you're Serral? Like... I do want to just, like, roach all in. Like, you gotta keep them honest, I think. At some point, maybe not on Beckett Industries, because it's so obvious, it becomes less obvious. Is there no Reaper? By the way, a reactor, looks like a reactor first into Marines. So this is a more of a build that Beyond and a handful of other Terrans have been trying out a little more lately. Wow, okay, so Clem scouted no third base and thinks this may very well be a Roach all-in, or even Ling Bane. But Ling Bane all-ins are half a decade out of date. Roach Ravager is just much more reliable. Yeah, Clem didn't actually see the third. Serral took the outside third. He took it a little bit later, but he is going that direction. So, at the end of the day, Clem playing... Well, when you don't go Hellions, you have nothing else to scout on the map. Like, you got no Reaper, you got no Hellions to follow up. The Marines will give away that this is indeed not... I was about to say not a Hellion play, but at least he's not opening Hellions. So, what are we doing, Clem? Medevac? Are we going to put mines on the table? Something else is coming up here. Supply block Hellions. Alright, just finished up a depot. Overlord floating in. I mean, at maximum velocity, which is slower than a queen off creep. Possibly the only thing. Did you know buildings fly faster than overlords without speed? Fun fact. They need to strap rockets to the I'm pretty sure Statman does that. Anyways, Roach all-in it is. How does this line up? Clem has a handful of Hellions. He's got a Marine mine drop. The Roach is... Now Serral doesn't want to give it away on defense. This is not a defensive build. This is a get up in your base and make a mess of things. And right now, there has been no vision of this for Clem whatsoever. No bunkers on the way. He's building a third. Pretty sure Clem just saw the Ravagers morphing over there. Though he may not have actually noticed on the minimap. The Hellions went by. But Clem has a lot going. He's got a lot on his plate. Oh, yeah, he knows now. All right, everybody panic. Oh, it's happening. Ah, well, a little bit late. And that might be the opening Serral needs. Slamming through the front door, knocking down the depots. The SCV's pulled too little, too late. Medevac back, but what will there be left to go back to? Breaks through. Bunkers not completed. There is a Widow Mine. Serral snipes it off with the Corrosive Biles. Jumps into the bunker, does Clem. Somehow manages to finish it. The Corrosive Biles going to add the extra DP. Well, oh my god, Clem is so good with that micro. The Marine's actually able to stagger back to another bunker, but gets out at the last second. picks up, escapes. He's retreating, but he's running out of places to retreat to. Down goes the Marauder. 17 SCVs. It looks like that Roach all in. Definitely, like, I don't want to take all the credit here for Jimmy. I told you we're selling out after the games. Oh my god, how many times? Anyways, 29 SCVs. Serral smashes through. And yeah, okay. Beckett Industries, Roach all in. Not the most surprising pairing. Honestly, a little surprising that Clem didn't see it coming until that late. But at the end of the day, if you're Serral, I'm not feeling super confident off of that. Like, okay, like that's a sigh of relief. Like, I can win a game. But that is not the type of game that fills you with confidence in winning a best of 7. We need to see... you're not going to pull that on Clem. 4 times, or 3 more times. 2 more times, actually, if I could ever figure out what math is, but I'm more about the feelings here, and I feel right now that was a bit of a reset. Clem, we're now on Lightshade, so this map is notorious. That's a fun word. Alright, add it to the list of fun words. But this map is notorious for marine tank timings. Just using this kind of high ground mid-platform as a staging point to attack in. A lot of Zerg players will expand to the low ground, so that way you do have the ability to engage there. But that does leave you somewhat vulnerable to a longer-winded push. Serral is one... Whoa! Gas and a pool. Alright, alright. It looks like Serral is going to try to keep Clem off balance. And honestly, with the way that the first match went, I can't disagree. Serral tried to play straight up, and Clem kind of bopped him. He just bopped him. Serral started to stand up a little bit, and Clem took his chair out from under him and then smashed it over his head. So, anything to start things off. Will this be... It's only 1 gas, so probably just speed to kick it off. But even though there's an SCV scout, there will be a Reaper behind it, which means no sneaking Zerglings by, especially with the SCV scout. Clem not gonna... Oh, it is Roaches. Alright. Oh. 1 gas Roach. Is that for the SCV's benefit? There's actually... Okay, he's boxing out the SCV. Like, there's a small chance that he was thinking about the SCV scouting it, freaking out about Roaches, then hitting with speed, but... The Zerglings... The SCV came back in. I feel like... He starts speed. Because he can't... It is! I feel like Serral did too good a job of denying scouting, so he almost finished the Roach Warren accidentally. Because it's weird to go, like, usually you won't go Roaches with 1 gas, because having 3 or 4 Roaches is just not better than having Speedwings. It's kind of an either or. If you're not going to go 2 gas for Ravagers, then it's a half measure. But the SCV... Like, I think Serral's reflex was to deny the scout, and then he realized he was trying to do a mind game, and was like, oh wait, come on in. Come on, come on, come on. While still pretending like he was killing it. I don't know if Clem's gonna bite on this. Oh, he does. He bites hard. He's got a Cyclone on the way. He's got a bunker on the high ground. Clem is pretty convinced that Ravagers are coming, but I imagine when he sees this 3rd CC, he salvages the bunker. Because that... Yeah. I mean, the 3rd hatchery. Yep. Alright. That's enough of that. No more. Keeps the bunker for now, but switches over like, aha. You sneaky snake, Serral. Not a huge investment, but Clem... Serral primed him up for it. Like, last game, the Roach all-in. This game, a mildly convincing bluff. At the end of the day, not going to have a huge impact unless these Zerglings are able to get in. Unfortunately for Serral, it looks like a great timing, but the Hellions pop out at the perfect time. And even though he has plenty of Zerglings here, well, who's trapping who? The Zerglings kill... Well, that was actually just the first SCV in a Marine. So Clem's reactions have been on point. He's adapted to the situation and all the information he's had. And now Serral... The downside of all this is he has used a lot of larvae and hasn't had his expansions up nearly as quickly as you usually would like. Unfortunately, Clem's Hellions just keep coming out at the perfect timing. Like, this is some... Like, it feels like a plot hole here. It's like, and then the Hellions once again pop out at the last second to save the day. It's like, didn't we have this in the last episode? Yes, but people love Hellions. It's like, can we bring back Hellbatman? No. No more Hellbatman. Unless we truly show, like, the gritty side of Hellbatman, which is SCVs and medevacs constantly repairing and healing. Brenda, why did you kill the creep tumor? Because the only way the Hellbatman can work is, like, with a whole support crew keeping him intact. And then he rebuilds the creep tumor, but unfortunately the Hellions come kill it, and the drama continues. Yeah, Serral at 54 drones, Lair on the way, but something to point out, 0 Evo chambers. Compared to Clem, who's got his +1 started, +1 armor following up. Unfortunately, Serral's meandering mind games. Now we'll leave him in a bit of an awkward spot tech-wise. Unless he's gonna go for Mutas. Yeah, Baneling speed is on the way. And, he's adding some Banelings. The problem is, we're gonna end up at the same spot as we kind of were in the first match, which is Clem might have a few less workers, but his infrastructure is way more... Well, he's pressing the issue right now. Slow Banelings against Clem? Like, that's disrespectful. I don't even care if you're on creep. Like, come on here. You might as well have just given him the money. Just give him the minerals and gas and stop taking so long to do it. 1, 2, oh my god, oh my god! Oh, yeah, I mean, well, here we are. GG. Yeah. I think it would have been more efficient to just give him the minerals. Like, wow, and Clem just boom, 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 down they go. Aimbot activated, and that's another one for Clem. Wow. I mean, I was making a little bit of a joke. Right up until I wasn't. So... Clem just cleaving through the Banes and making me feel incredibly old in the process. Why doesn't it work like that? What is the aimbot button? What button on my controller do I press to make my Marines do that? Will someone please explain what button I'm supposed... Where do I download that program? Welcome back to the Dreamhack Masters Fall European Grand Finals. Europe probably... Honestly, I think you can make an argument that Europe is... I'm gonna rustle some feathers and some jimmies, but I'm never too worried about that. I think Europe is about even, if not better than Korea at this stage. Might be like, what about NA? NA is obviously #1 with Serral as the leader. And Clem can be an honorary North American player as well. But otherwise, maybe not the #1 region. But between the big three, Serral, Clem, and Raynor, as well as Big Gabe, with them all in his gravitational well orbit, and another dozen players that are not too far down the list, like Max Pax, up and coming. Didn't make it this far, obviously, as we're in the finals here. I'm just like Vanya, Showtime, of course, Marine Lord, their Soul, Skilless. There are at least a half dozen to a dozen players who on any day are a risk to the big three or any Korean player. They might be like Clem 3 years ago. Honestly, the person who most reminds me of that is Max Pax. Max Pax, he started out like Max Pax 16 years old, maybe 17. Nah, I don't know. Damn kids. And every young player, in my experience, Maru, who qualified for GSL at 13, known for proxy rate. They're aggressive players. But eventually, if they stick with it, Raynor's another one who was an incredibly aggressive player. He still is, but he's willing to play the later game more often. But Max Pax started out with like the Max Pax build, which is literally slamming a gateway on your opponent's side of the map. But now, a much more rounded player. Still very up in your grill, but part of that's just playing Protoss, right? Getting up in people's personal space and making them uncomfortable is like most of the Protoss motto. Clem is trying to preemptively deal with creep tumors. And he's mostly successful, but Serral just... I feel at some point you just wait until you got speed finishing or the Reapers in the red, and then maybe you have a chance, if you have a high ground. $3CC. Before Starport. Deja vu. We've just seen this build before. Clem going unpunished. The only time that Serral has been able to actually do damage to Clem has been the rogue Challen on Becky. The counterattacks and mind games, I don't like. We haven't none of the games have been past 10 minutes so far. Like, we wouldn't have even lured our second boar in Age of Empires, which is, for those who don't know, the hardest part of the game. By the time these games have finished up with some decisive aggression. Some say Age of Empires is boring, and so do I, but for different reasons. Serral targeting the Hellion. Hellions don't heal unless they're Hellbats with Metavacs, in which case you don't really heal the emotional damage of being a Hellbat. Couple Overlords hanging out, providing some vision, and also interesting, it's just, I wonder at what point Serral's going to get a little suspicious. It doesn't... Did he lose an OV? He did. He flew an OV into the main. He saw the barracks, the 3rd CC. It is just the 2 Hellions. Yeah, that gave Serral the info. There will be no Hellions to back this up. So he can just jump them and work on his creep spread. The Marines coming up... Oh, come on.
What a save!
Hellion makes it home. With the Marines coming out to cover. And I think so far, just based on where we are in the game, this has been the best early game for Serral. Besides, obviously, the game he had already won. He has now got over 60 drones on the way. Clem's upgrades are not going to be super far ahead. It looks like Serral is preferring the quick Bane speed over the quicker upgrades. He's got his creep spread relatively far out, mostly because Clem didn't really contest it. So now he just has to deal with 2 Metavacs full of Marines with Stim. Easy peasy, right? How hard could it be? Right? Right? Brenda! What? Loose? Oh my god. They do so much damage! On with the slick pickups again. Snipes off a soon-to-be a budding overseer. The Queen's moving in to try to get some damage onto the medevacs. Clearing the creep. Clem slips back up into the medevacs. Small counterattack. The Hellion stands guard. It's reached retirement age after the war. And will now be standing guard for the SCVs. The rocks being removed as Serral wants to remove any other options barring him from getting to Clem's base. He's got 1-1 on the way, about 30, 40 seconds behind Clem. Not too bad considering Bane speed is already up and he's got 71 drones. 4 hatches. Macro hatch on the way. Baneling counterattack. Baneling speed is not done, so I think Serral thought better of... Wow, can you wall off with just 4 depots here? Oh my... Clem, a geometrical genius. Simple geometry. Oh, the Widow Mine, the Widow... Heavy breathing. Baneling speed. 2, 1, go. We're off to the races. Widow Mine connects, easily negated. Clem working around the angles that he hasn't dealt with the creep spread lately. 4, drones down. Widow Mine dropped distracted. Baneling's rolling through. But Clem... Alright. Well... Not sure that's the group hug they were looking for. A bit of a misstep there by the SCVs. Very ambitious. And Serral has a couple more Zerglings in case he wants more Banes. Negates another Widow Mine. 9 SCVs down. Not a critical number, but a surprisingly high number. And Clem very willing to lift the orbital in order to help deal with this. Oh, the Marines coming back. Heals! I need healing! Alright, 1 Queen gun down, but it costs some more HP on the medevacs, and he's forced back. Banelings, well, the Widow Mine, yeah, almost deals with the Drilling Claws Tech Lab. Clem is most definitely going to want to repair that. Drilling Claw is one of the most important upgrades, and will it burn? 20, 19. Oh, this is actually huge. Those Banelings having much more of an impact than they might even know. The Drilling Claws Tech Lab actually burned because of those heroic Banelings after the mine killed the Banes next to the Tech Lab. So, mildly ironic there. 2-2 is on the way with Serral slightly in the lead. He's definitely in this one. He's in a very, especially without Drilling Claws and with the upgrades even, keeping this creep spread intact, the counterattacks getting actual damage done. The supply not looking incredible, but Burrow's about to finish with an infestation pit on the way. 5 hatches of larva. Another one, the Widow Mine, starting to rack up more and more kills. Restarts Drilling Claws, so he did notice eventually. The creep spread is continually being beaten back. But so far, Clem has not been able to keep it just outside the hatcheries, which makes it so much easier to just snipe them off later on. There should be enough Lings and Banes to deal with this. Left side, Widow Mine zoning out, and a small group of Marines going to do the rest. Clem back into the medevac, sacrifices a Marine. Banelings burrow in the mineral line, forces the scan and kills 8 SCVs before that. A little awkward there. More medevac, almost as many medevacs as Marines on the right side as they've been whittled down. Marines find another Queen. Their numbers reduced. Counterattack. Planetary. Widow Mine slams through. Counterattack dealt with. Same thing happening on the other side, though, as Clem splits off just the Marines and the drops. Not that many Marines left over, but enough to potentially do some damage. Serral's still down 25 supply. Drilling Claws 10 seconds out, but so is Serral's 2-2 upgrades. The Marines standing surprisingly tall, and that means the Banelings will cut them down. More Marines dealt with. 154, 142. The mid-map brawl. Baneling mines in the center. Hydral is dead, as well as the Hive are on the way for Serral. Oh, the Bane mines. I mean, it's going to be rare to find an opportunity to hit very much, but can't hurt. Well, Widow Mine's looking for more potential shots. A Liberator shows up to the party. The Queens firing off their knitting needles at whatever they can get a hold of. Nice Widow Mine, and then another one follows it up. Changelings trying to convince Clem he has more Marines than he already has. Not that I think he needs very much convincing here to stim forward. Continuing. Looking to snipe. 1, 2, 3. Into the medevacs. The full HP one somehow. He right now has 10 medevacs. Gunning down the Changelings. He knows what's real. He can smell it. Like a fresh baguette. Or something else. Or not fresh baguette. That's what a changeling smells like. Like a 3-day-old baguette. That's a long time, right? I don't know how long. I can imagine not the day of. The standards are probably quite high. Moving on. Creep receding. Serral struggling to actually find any damage on Clem's side of the map, but Clem not able to lay down any meaningful damage to Serral's economy or his tech. Meanwhile, Lings and Banes overrunning the front. Still plenty of medevacs, regrouping with the Marines. Serral slipping around in a bit of an awkward exchange in the middle of the map. Clem stimming forward, drilling claws. Unburrows a mine, surprisingly, at the last second there. A whole lot of Zerglings right now. 93. There are 34 Marines and a few dozen Marauders and mines to match. If it doesn't start with M, I don't want to see it. Another Widow Mine from the northern flank. There are only 2 Banelings with this. If Clem can gun him down, he might be able to stand his ground, but falls back into the medevacs, picks up the only ones with the Marines in it, using that drop command. Lurker Den is on the way, the only real sort of reliable splash damage option against this unit composition. But is it too little? Clem has been ahead 20 supply throughout this. The worker counts are dead even. Serral had a bit of an income lead, but that's starting to be whittled down now as Clem is solidly mining from 4 bases, and Serral is tenuously nails a Baneling mine and undercuts the Marine count so high that the knitting crew of queens can sew together a defense. Another Widow Mine at the front. Nails some Banes. Looking for more. Overseers. I assume he has speed. Of course he does. More mines. Left side. Handle it. Adrenal glands completed. A bit more of the brawl we expected to see from these two here. All tied up halfway through. 3-3 finishing for Clem. +1 ranged attack. No lurker upgrades, though some lurkers on the way. Seismic Spines lurker range just now started here for Serral, but the lurkers themselves going to be incredibly effective against these mine and marine-based compositions. The only thing that can really reliably outrange them, even before the range upgrade. Burrowed Zergling delayed the landing of a command center, which is always a curious thing. 8 drones down. I'm not sure exactly what to. I can only assume a Widow Mine drop. So far, so Clem is nearly maxed out. He's got Ghosts on the way, pretty smoothly transitioning into the later game army composition to deal with the lurkers and just generally help against everything. Ghosts aren't terrible against Ling Bane either. The lurkers shredding through, but without range, they're not able to hit a huge clump of the Marine Marauder. Small amount of Zerglings run right through the Liberator fire. Widow Mine. Not finding much for now. Widow Mine almost killing the Ghost, but definitely killing the Zerglings. Serral struggling to put 200 supply on the table, whereas Clem starting to make a decision about what his 200 supply is made out of, rather than worrying so much about how to get there. Maybe these... I'm not even sure these Banelings... just do it. Alright. He gets, like, maybe 12 Marines. He dipped 12 supply, which means that will be replaced by Liberator Ghost. So who really wins in this exchange? The Terrans, of course. I don't know, 12 Marines or 12 supply of Liberator Ghost. At this stage, EMP hits every Viper. Lurkers forced to retreat. They don't have adaptive talent. They're on the run. Clem has, like, he's taken a few punches, but overall, he has not been slowed down significantly on any of his outlying bases. Serral, to his credit, has held on to his as well. But he's still struggling. I don't know if Serral has ever gotten a 200 supply. Clem is over here trying to figure out what to build, and Serral is trying to figure out how. And that is just a different level of problem right now. Liberators looking to siege up. A single lurker gonna be enough to drive Clem off of mining for a moment. Burrowed Ling was a little off the mark. Scan as the Liberator blasting through on both sides of the map. couple burrowed Banes in the middle, but at this point, 2 burrowed Banes I don't even think kill a ghost. So the Marine count is starting to thin out and be replaced by some incredibly efficient units. Hey, you got like 3 Marines. Meanwhile, do the ghosts have cloaks? Surprisingly not. It's 20 seconds off. More Widow Mines. Slam into the Overseers, which is probably best case scenario for Serral. Who's at 100? He can't. 552 Zerglings. Wow. And we're not nearly at the end of it. The number is not going to go down, obviously. The question is how much further it goes up. Because there's no other tech besides Lurkerling Bane on the way. A handful of Vipers, but the Ghosts are the built-in counter to both the Vipers and the Lurkers between their EMP and steady targeting, aka snipe. The Ghosts have a lot of options. Parasitic Bomb. There's no other anti-air really here. The turret's actually looking for some kills out. Liberator using anti-air to kill a Viper. Remember when they could kill everything in the air immediately? The good old days. Building armor, Neo-Steel armor, high-sec auto tracking, +3 mech armor for Clem as he fills in the blanks. Serral trying to fill in as much supply as he possibly can. Banelings rolling through. Ghosts tanking most of the damage and coming out alive. A very spooky thing for Zerg. EMPs on the Queen. Insult to grievous injury. The snipes are just mowing them down and the firing squad continues. 18 SCVs may have gone down, but Serral's supply has done a lot more in that department. What's left? It really feels like this game has been a whole lot of not losing for Serral. But the question of winning has been pretty far off. Clem not able to just end it, but still taking the initiative throughout almost all of the match. I talk like it's almost over, and I'm hard-pressed to see how it isn't. 23 SCVs dead, which means he can fill that in with more army supply, of which Clem right now has double. The ghost count, he's got 14 ghosts. 700 Zerglings have died. There aren't too many more to add to that count. The income... Serral's still managing to scrap together a decent amount of minerals. But I'm not even sure, like, walking over a bunch of lurkers. That's about all Serral can hope for. Like, he's got a come on, this is some Bronze League heroes. They just build planetaries. Defensive... It's not like... He's so rich. He's got a security guard for his orbital. Like, he's using the orbital to get more money so he can afford to build more planetaries to defend his orbital. Alright, come on. Stonks. Alright, well that's a very dead mine, but the revenge is a volley of snipes. Well, the Banelings crash through, and with the Banelings, just not, like... Clem with a decisive victory. Serral holding his ground, but never making much back. I don't... Ooh, that's... It is a weird day when you look at this and you're thinking, how is Serral supposed to fight this out? Serral, the world champion, the multi-Dreamhack champ, like, I added to the, I don't know, it's a long list of championships. When your trophy shelf, like, when you have more trophies than you could possibly hold at one time, you're not really used to being the one on this side of the story. But we are at match point. with Clem a dominant 3-2 at the moment. So that means a quick advertisement, and then we'll be back into it. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, I'm Winter, and I'm here to tell you that congratulations, you're watching the best game in the whole wide world. StarCraft, the worst RTS since every single other one. Now, as a StarCraft viewer, do you feel superior to other people? Do you feel like you're worth more and you're more valuable? Well, according to both YouTube and Twitch, you are, my 32-year-old friend. Being over double the age of your average Minecraft viewer, your ad revenue on this ad and so many more is worth significantly more according to your data. And if you want to give more of your beautiful, luscious data to our overlords, and no, not our Zerg overlords, our corporate overlords, I implore you, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Put another finger smudge on your phone where that thumbs up goes. I'll wait. You might have it locked in, like, you gotta go back into portrait mode, because I don't know how to do it when you got your phone, like when it's sideways. I don't. So you gotta go back, okay, like this. Alright, you see? Like this. Alright? Okay, and then, there you go. We did it. Good job, everybody. And check out Prime Gaming and so much more. Thank you. Good luck. Have fun and have a great day. Thank you guys for sticking around for that short shout out to our sponsors as we get back to the Dreamhack Masters Fall Finals here in this European regional. But could easily be the overall finals for the whole tournament. I would not be the least bit surprised to see these two, but without further ado, down 3-2, and one of those games is just his winner bracket bonus. He was, I guess at this rate, lucky enough to not hit Clem on the way through the winner's bracket. Serral. And in the top, alright, the inexorable Frenchman. It's Clem. Just play like I don't know, like I don't know what Serral in the least balanced, whiny way possible. I don't know what Serral could have done better there. I think the lurkers could have been focused on a little bit quicker. Like the lurker upgrades were a bit late. And they weren't lined up really with the hive, but is it mutas? I hesitate to speak of mutas because someone like Clem is not going to just get caught out of position, but that is really the only reliable way I've seen to deal with the medevacs, because you have none when you go Ling Bane, and even Ling Bane in the lurker, you're severely lacking in anti-air, and let's not talk about queens and their anti-air range. That's still a sore subject from a long line of incredibly sore subjects. So, but the queens are mostly a defensive tool, at least in this matchup. They're not chasing down medevacs, because of course they can't fly. That'd be ridiculous. So, without that option, then, well, Reaper comes in. Honestly, for a moment, for just a short, tiny moment, I'm like, have I cast this game before? because I saw the Reaper coming in, the Zerglings popping out, Reaper going into the mineral line, and then I remembered this happens about 50 to 70% of games. And then I look at the production tab, and it doesn't help, because this happens about 50 to 70% of games. And then I look at the... Okay. Looks like we're sticking to the script here on match point. Reaper's still looking for an opportunity. Oh, come on. Stop with this. Dancing in and out. He knows the exact time when that speed finishes, which is usually around 340, give or take, depending on how quickly you get the gas. He saw the tumor, but just too much damage on the Reaper is going to push him back for now. For once. Is that a cloak banshee? I say zoning out. Wait. Okay, it's a bluff. That is the most obvious bluff. He actually canceled the cloak while the Overlord was still barely in vision. I'm not sure if Serral caught it, but... Like... Canceling an upgrade, you get a full refund. It's only canceling buildings that you have that 25% restocking fee. You can cancel units, or... Now, this is a fun fact, depending on who you are, I guess. When a building, say you have 7 carriers, or 5 carriers queued up on your Stargate, and the Stargate dies, you get all that money back. You don't get the money for the Stargate, though. So anything in production queue, unfinished, you get the money back if the building is destroyed. Or you cancel it. A lair pretty quick. Actually, no. That's pretty standard lair timing here. Baneling nest is on the way. 2 sets of gas, 3rd and 4th, which I don't really think this is a tell for... Now that's a tell. All right. At first I'm like, this is not really a tell for Mutas. This is, yeah, 6 gases is. That's okay. Now we just got to figure out where the spire is going to be. I predict right here. Yes, Hellions, Zerglings. He's got the Raven this time around. There's not that many Lings here. But the Queens will push it out. Let me see it. Oh, there it is. All right. Well, it looks like Serral has set his sights on the Mutalisks, which are, of course, a Mutarisk. But so far, nothing else is paying off, so... Just straight up Lingbane. Oh, wow. The temporary TPM, the TTPM, if you would. Assassinating a queen, but the Hellions do get a little caught out. Not that many Hellions left over, and that means the creep spread should be mostly untouched, though Serral using a little bit of that Overlord creeping, but you don't see, in my opinion, nearly enough. It's not a huge factor, but there's still some unexplored things that could be done around that. One of my personal favorites is the Queen Taxi, not the German taxi build where you go to the attack, but just Queen Taxi with a drone, where you cancel a hatchery and it leaves a spot of creep as like... That's the restocking fee part. And then you place down a creep tumor, which is a huge amount of APM for limited reward. The queens are really not big fans of their own creep tumors. Maybe it was another queen's creep tumor. You know, that's always an awkward scenario. Like, you know you didn't lay that tumor, yet you're responsible for it. It's a whole deal. Anyway, speaking of a whole deal, Whittle Mines. First one, looking for an opportunity. Clem has Marines. He has Mines. He has Medevacs. What else do you need? That's a lot of Banes, and they do have speed. The upgrades are far off. Not a single Mutalisk. Well, did he finish any Mutas? He's got 9 Mutas out. Gonna be able to overwhelm here. The mutas are actually headed across the map. Not a single turret for Clem. He wasn't expecting it. Serral, not too many drones. He essentially overmade Lings to make sure he could get this done. And the mutas are going to come flying in for the very first time in the series. And Clem is caught completely off guard. There were 0 turrets. There was 0 acknowledgement. There was 0 expectation. It looks like a select-all army hotkey all the way to the back of his base. And for the first time in quite a while, Serral has retaken the initiative. Right now, flying with the Sharks, looking for an opportunity. He'll be able to delay the armory longer. A Widow Mine almost finds a connection, but the mutas find 7 SCVs. They delay a whole lot. They drag the army back. And with that, Serral is able to get to 82 drones. He's able to get 1-1 started. He's able to get map control, wrest it back from Clem's dainty and accurate hands. But Clem, the one thing mutas don't do is fight straight up. They're not fighting units. At least not in these numbers. He needs... it's going to be up to the Lings, Banes, and Queens to defend. Enough Banes to get through. 8 more SCVs go down. Clem down to 59. But he's still in the attack. The supplies are nearly even, which means the army supply is heavily in his favor. Terran through the front. 1-1 not even done. 2 upgrade advantage for these Marines against the Lings and Banes. He's going to stand his ground, spreading back. Beautiful. Mines at the back, taking out the rest of the Banes. There are no more Banelings. 29 Marines. 11 more Banes on the way. Targets 1, targets 2, targets the hat. Guns down the mutas. And that is it. Clem, not looking to let the mutas find purchase. Not letting that go unanswered. Serral invested over 1,000 minerals and gas in mutas. He took the risk. Unfortunately, Clem was able to swing back more than quickly enough. And in another shorter than 10-minute match, Clem will win the Dreamhack Masters Fall Europe Championship in decisive manner. The only game Serral taking. Remember, he got that winner's bracket bonus and a roach chocolate. Clem with 4. Honestly, somewhat one-sided mid to late game matches. Well, so that's how it ends. Clem making Terran look too strong to beat. I'm sure plenty of people have opinions, but he makes it look so easy, and to people like me, it's annoying. Impressive, inspiring, demoralizing, and all of the above. Because few can do it, but those who can. Congratulations, Clem. Not something I'm, not the first time or the last I think I'll be saying that. But thank you for watching. Thank you to Dreamhack and ESL. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. What do you think? What should the best Zerg in the world have done? Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. What do we say at the end? Jimmy. No, not it's about time. Stay chill.